Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Well, hello again, and welcome to episode 135 of There's Still Time, the AFTN podcast. I'm Michael McColl.
I'm Steve Pandher.
I'm Jay Duke.
And I'm Slamo.
And I'm Zach Meisenheimer.
So in this episode of the podcast, we're just going to have a little catch up with some of the latest news that's been happening in Whitecaps land and MLS land since we last spoke to you. So even though it's the off season, I guess first thing we should maybe say is a big well done to all our friends down in Portland for their MLS Cup win.
Do we have to?
Well, the thing is though, I don't actually have any friends down in Portland,
Okay.
so screw them, I think. Let's not even mention it. Although we do kind of have to mention it when we get to a bit later on. But it's all about the roster moves just now. As it stands just now, 9 Whitecaps players look to be on the way out. Diego Rodriguez, his loan has not been taken up, so he's gone bye-bye back to Injuryville, Argentina, or Uruguay even. Oh, they all merge
Or you can
in
say
it.
ball grabbing Argentina.
Yeah, it's all the same. They all merge into one.
Don't disparage one of his great contributions to our
Yeah,
season.
seriously.
Yeah.
That was a highlight of the year almost.
Then it was definitely his highlight. Then there was 8 players who are either out of contract or their options have been declined. Paulo Ternaghi, Stephen Beitashour, Ethan Sampson, surprised he's even still here, Pamadou Ka, heartbroken Mauro Rosales, Andre Lewis, Caleb Clark, and AFTN's favourite podcast contributor, Robert Edshaw.
He's almost like a co-host.
Yeah, we spoke to him so much, I don't know who we're going to speak to next year. So, first thing I'll just throw around the table to all you guys, would you bring any of them back?
Well, Beitashour for a decrease in pay. I think he's the only one who surprised me, really. So he's the one that I would probably I'd put most of the resources to bring him back.
Well, apparently
Unless
he's
there's
got
really
he's
good
got
plan
a massive up in his
But
contract.
that
That's the reason why.
now, right?
Yeah, well, no, they can still renegotiate before
Yeah,
Friday.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, as of right now, his guaranteed last year was 197,166 and 67 cents. Very important
So
to have that for some reason.
you think it'd at least go up 50,000. And do you really want to right back at 250? That's not as dynamic as he is. You know, he's a solid right back, but he's not dynamic.
But if
He
you're
had 5 assists. And I don't like the guy, and he had 5 assists.
I'm talking about the not assist. I'm not talking stats. I'm talking about the way he plays and what he brings.
But
to
it's
it.
perspective of the league too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
I just don't think that. I think if you look around the league, there's not that many other right backs that you would take in front of him at all.
Yeah.
Never mind for the price. And salaries have been going up. I don't think 200,000 is all that unreasonable for a starting right back, especially on what was, I think we can all agree, the best defense in the league this year.
What if it goes to 250 or 300?
I agree with you. That's a lot of money.
Because
But-
it's 200. It's 200 this last
I
year.
get that.
So we've heard that's going up.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that now you might have to pay him an extra 50,000. Let's say it's 50,000 extra. You're paying 250 for a guy you know is going to be good. He doesn't get forward as much as we would like. I think everybody will agree.
5 assists? It's only start.
But you might get someone at less money. So what are you paying? 150, 175 to bring in a starter from outside the league, perhaps. And and then you run the risk of him being absolute crap, like we saw with Jordan Smith.
I was just about to say, but we have Jordan Smith,
who I think has potential, but I don't know if that potential can be realized right away.
He's confident.
No. He defensively was all over the place, which
Yeah.
is kind of important if you're a defender.
Yeah.
So are you willing to take a $75,000 hit to guarantee that the player that you're going to have as a right back is going to be good? I don't think it's bad business.
No, but I wouldn't. Like I said, I would bring him back, but even if it's 200 or less, I would bring him back at that. But above that, I wouldn't.
But okay,
Just cap number.
To me, the key thing is the 5 assists is great. I think we wish that maybe there. It's not that he doesn't get forward at all, but I think we all would wish like we noticed him getting forward more, or maybe we noticed some of his crossing was a little bit better what we've seen from him in the past. The big thing though for me, the ultimate thing is, Jay, you mentioned it, is you really want to dismantle like the best or one of the best back lines in the league. And that, to me, that's the key, because
Sometimes you have to tweak something to make something better.
yeah, but we don't. That's the thing. We don't have something. We don't have something better. Here we have like
No, I'm
change's
talking.
sake.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He
in
himself
order
hasn't changed.
maybe
He
to
hasn't changed
improve
in San Jose, right?
Maybe to improve going forward, the guys playing up top, they need to fix something at the back. It's a cap. If it's not a cap, if it's not
I'd
salary
rather see
cap.
that in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, I agree.
If it's not salary cap, pay him 300.
That's not
fine.
That's
but
not
it
the
isn't-
place
that's
to
not
make
an
a.
issue.
That's not the place to make a tweak to hope that the rest of your attack falls
Yeah.
into place.
No.
So I think $250 would be a hefty price to pay for him. Yeah, it would. But there's not many other guys in the league, if you're looking within the league, that I would take in front of him. And you know that someone in the league will probably pay $250 for him.
Well, that's the thing. If you're
I haven't seen it, but I don't think there's too many right backs that get paid that high.
no, but if you're beta, you're negotiating with. We were negotiating with our front office or our technical staff, and they're saying, "Yeah, we like him back. We like him back for a little bit more." And you don't mind being open to something else. You're not doing anything until after the first round of the of the entry draft, right? So there's no reason. Why would you?
And we're going to come to the re-entry draft in a little bit, and there are some names there, including a right back, which I'll throw out for you. Like, for me, I don't really want him back unless we get him back way down at 120 or something.
Oh no, he's not going to go
That's
down
not-
that low.
I
That's
know.
not going to happen.
I do want.
Is that
I want Mauro to come back.
Morrow, I think if he comes back at 120, maybe they take him back.
Yeah.
Anything above that.
Let me ask you a question. What did you see out of Morrow in the last half of the season, or at all in the season, really, that you think that Morrow could come back and contribute on the field?
I like his hair.
He'd have to be like a fourth option off the bench.
I think they've already offered him less money, and I think it's already been insulting. So I don't know if that's gonna.
And
It's just gonna make our Christmas special really sad when I ask him what he wants for Christmas. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna really bring a tear to everyone's eye if he's not back.
Tornaghi, we know he said Robbo has said that he wants to see if he could be a number one somewhere else. I don't see him being in MLS, but maybe he wants to go somewhere else outside MLS.
Possibly Europe.
Yeah.
He's over there doing stuff with Sky Sports in Italy just now.
Samson and Lewis.
You're talking about Paulo?
Yeah.
No, Paulo's not. Paulo's coming back. He's coming back. He wants to play in America. He's going to try and make the breakthrough in America. Will that happen? Maybe.
No, I'm saying I don't think there is a spot for him because there's so many. If you look at the re-entry draft, there's so many goalkeepers in that look like starters above Paulo. So that's why I'm not sure. But then you got a couple other defenders. Let's talk about Ethan Sampson and Pamadika.
Bye.
Both of them?
Well, Ethan.
Ethan, yes. But how about Ka?
Well, I mean, Ka did tell us, if you listened to our chat with him a few episodes ago, it sounded he expected to be back. Robbo kind of let slip that he was wanting him back. No deal had been signed. It seems, I mean, it could be the case of what we saw before, that a deal will get done just before the re-entry draft. Or, as you were just saying about Beitashour, he might hold out to see if someone wants to pay him what he's currently on. I think he needs to come back from a locker room perspective. And yeah, I agree with you, Jay, about Mauro. He didn't contribute on the pitch enough to probably merit coming back. But I think Ka, as your third, even fourth centre-back, is a guy, for what he brings to the locker room, is worth that little bit extra money.
And I wouldn't have a problem with that either. I don't know if I'd want to bring him back even on his current salary, but
which is 170.
Yeah, that's too steep for a guy who is really getting long in the tooth and was, he's he had a really magical run there in the middle of the season.
And I'm not a big fan of his playing. Of his playing.
Like he saved it because him playing in for Pedro a couple times, a couple of those games, he did change the attack, but it wasn't enough for a consistency.
The start
for
of the
whole
season, he looked exactly what we expected, and he was going to cost us the playoffs. But then he just rolled in and was like, "Who's this guy, man? Holy cow!"
And that's the kind of thing that you almost want out of a your fourth center back is a guy, because he's not nervous when he gets the tap on the shoulder that a guy just got his knee blown out in the 4th minute. He doesn't care. He'll go in, no fear, no nerves, anything like that. But you can't. Here I was preaching about the paying Beitashour, but you can't pay a guy $175,000 a year to be your 4th option as a center back. And realistically, that's where he's going to be. And if I was if I was Robinson, I would have to say my offer to you is going to be insulting. So if you want to stay, it's going to be as the 4th center back, and it's going to be on $90K a year.
He can't impact Parker, that's for sure. Because that's a gem, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So he knows that he's at least he's going to have to fight for the 3rd spot. And so you can't pay a guy $175 for that. Robinson knows that. I think so does he.
Christian Dean, though, is on a guaranteed 176 this year.
But it's non-GA.
Yeah, but he's still getting that salary.
Yeah, but that's something we just got to suck those up, right? Those are GA, and they're always hit and miss.
It's like no wonder he's keen to stay. I'd stay in Vancouver for 176,000 a year.
Wait, you don't make that?
No. I think I make 6.
But I think there's been moments where he has improved a little bit.
It was the interview. Who did the interview? I'm not Ronaldo or whatever with Ka. That was
that was Gary.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Who of course? Who else would it be? Yeah.
That was when the two.
But that was
it
was like he went to prove them wrong, right? Because that was his stretch of however many games there were.
So the one good thing about Ka you can say is he scored a brace away to Seattle.
Yeah.
And that'll always be a special night.
Even though he was an ex-Timberers player, you can cheer for him?
I don't, to me, Seattle and Portland are different.
Yeah. So fair enough.
Did you cheer on Portland on Sunday?
No.
Did you cheer on Columbus? Or did you
no.
just hope for
to me there was no 2 teams playing on Sunday. There was our former physio dude, John McGregor, not on the field for Columbus, and there was our former player Michael Nanchef, not on the field and not on the 18 for Portland, and one of them was going to get an MLS Cup ring.
Was he even in the stadium?
Yeah, of course.
I was in the stadium. Okay, so quick hits on these guys. Lewis, Clark, Earnshaw, none of them were picked up today. We're talking today on the waiver draft day, where one player got selected on
Azura.
Yeah. So Lewis, Clark, and
which
Earnshaw.
on the side, isn't it funny? Didn't they make a special deal to keep him in the expansion draft?
Yeah.
Right? Mm. Yeah, they traded away something so they could exclude him from the expansion draft.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, 1 year made a big difference.
Yeah, seriously.
So Lewis, Clark, Earnshaw. Your thoughts on them? I really don't see any of them really coming back at all.
I feel bad for Caleb because he's academy residency grad who we all saw score like 4 million goals in 4 years or whatever. But
I mean, if he was still playing against 18-year-olds, I think he could probably do that.
Oh yeah. So I feel bad. I hope he goes to Europe and finds
Germany.
Goes back to Germany and finds a club there. Lewis, it's kind of, I feel bad for him. He had the injury here and stuff, but it's still that whole like bad taste in the mouth where we didn't really, we didn't do. we kind of, it's kind of like other situations where we kind of just trusted things where everything was on the up and up and everything was good, and then it just brings back bad memories.
At least he went viral on the internet with his flip.
Yeah, we got some social media out of that, I guess. But hopefully I hope he'll go.
And the photo in the Camilo pose, right? Because it was at the same time.
Yeah, that was great. That was good.
Yeah.
Earnshaw, I would love to see him come back, but I can't see it happening.
I've said it a million times, so I'll make it quick. I would love to see Earnshaw come back if they would have used him like I would have hoped they had used him this year, which they didn't. They didn't use him at all, and there was plenty of times when we should have used him. So if you're gonna pay a guy to be on your roster and not play him, it's silly. So for that reason, I would say take a pass on Earnshaw. Could he give something to the team? I still think he might have one more year in the legs, but the way that Robinson wanted to play him, it's not worth it. I'm with you on Caleb. I hope the best for the guy, but I don't think this is the spot for him. He didn't show enough at USL to merit any contention for a first team spot. And although Lewis has a lot of technical ability and speed, still at the US level, kind of failed to really bring it all together. And I know the injury hurt him, but he's also on an international spot. So, man, that's a big risk to take. Better to use those development minutes in the USL. Lewis is never going to make the first team. So, even at USL level, put a Canadian kid in there that hopefully we can develop better.
Yeah, I gotta agree with all those points. Nothing to add.
So let's move on now to Friday's re-entry draft. We're hopefully going to get this podcast out just before the re-entry draft takes place. It takes place on Friday at noon. 4 Whitecaps players are going to be in it.
Tornagi, Bidashore, Ka.
And Mauro Rosales.
Yeah.
If we've got the list printed off here, let's have a little look through it, see if there's any names that jump out. Now, for me, we talked about Earnshaw not coming back. We do obviously need to have some kind of proven goal scorer on the bench, somebody that can come in when Rivero's not scoring, so that might be game 2 next season. Just somebody that can maybe try and make some kind of difference. So looking at the list of who's available in that, but more for me looking at the free agency list that was out at the start of the week, 2 of the players that jump out from the free agency list for me are Connor Casey, who I like his kind of bull in a china shop style, and Alan Gordon, who I like his elastic band on testicles of a bull in a china shop style.
You want to bring Alan Gordon back for a second?
Yeah, because we should have kept him. And can you imagine having him on the bench though and coming off
He was here for like 5 hours.
what he did with LA?
Yeah.
And heading those crosses in, getting on the end of crosses, actually scoring. And then the third forward who is on the re-entry list is Maxi Pad Urruti from the Portland Timbers.
Well, Gordon and Casey are kind of, I think it's a bit like for like though, right? If you're going to play Rivero most of the time, they're not that much of a different player. I think Urruti would probably,
They score past April.
And they have MLS experience, which makes a big difference coming off the bench and everything like that. Gordon, I don't see coming. I read somewhere that he's a Southern California
he's
guy.
SoCal.
So I don't see him coming up north to do it, unless it's a big difference in money.
I don't know, Mackenzie Pridham was Cal Poly and he came here.
He just had I don't know if his first kid or he had another kid this year.
Mackenzie Pridham?
No, Alan Gordon.
Oh.
And I think Connor Casey from last year, I was mentioning him last year, and I think he would be a good fit here. Somebody who would be the number 3 striker, not even the number 2 striker, number 3 striker, and be sometimes in the 18.
Situational striker.
Yeah, the question is, do they use him, or they just like they use him the same way they used Earnshaw, right? And then I don't know what's the point of that, right?
No, but the difference is I think they provide something we don't have in the whole roster.
The only thing I'd say...
the actual putting the ball in
the big physical presence.
I don't think Rivero's not as physical. No. He is.
How many fouls did he have this year?
No, but he's not a...
He doesn't put himself about...
He doesn't have the presence in the box.
He puts himself about in a South American way.
Yeah.
But not in a kind of...
North American, good Canadian kid.
He's a different kind of hold-up player, or play-off of player.
Yeah, fair enough.
I want us to go back to like the old...
I'd rather more of a Mane type guy up front that you can just switch the whole feel of the game.
We have a lot of speedy little guys.
My question is, first of all, I would have liked to have Alan Gordon the first time that we had him. Yeah. I think it would have been fine then. I don't know if either of those guys are really the answer. They might be a cool change of pace. Yeah, sure. Much slower change of pace. But,
look at the seniors discount out of Uncle Willie's.
Well, they're both 34.
34?
Yeah.
No way.
They feel older than that.
Yeah,
I think Casey looks older. I think Gordon's...
I said that about Mauro, though, before.
The problem is neither of them exactly fit what the style of play that the Whitecaps never cross the ball into the box. Like the only guys that really cross the ball, I know Beitashour. That's where Beitashour had his success was when there were guys in the.
I think the best guy in the box this year was Chichera, which is hilarious because he was the smallest guy. I think he was the best guy in the box when they crossed the ball.
But all I'm saying is that we play with the inverted wingers thing. They try and cut in towards the middle. we almost never have like, you know, those midfielders making the runs in, you know, the late runs, or we never have a player going to both near and far post, because it's hard to cross a ball right to somebody's head. What's easier is you put 3 or 4 guys in the box and then cross the ball, and maybe you'll get close to one of them who can try and make a play on it and get a knockdown. But that's why you want Connor Casey and Alan Gordon. And if you're not going to play like that, it's almost like, well, what are you going to have them on the team for?
Yeah. But maybe that's where we fell down. Maybe we should have played like that when we were trying to chase a game. Is there perhaps a little bit? And kind of jumping ahead to something we're going to talk in a bit, was Robbo maybe a little bit tactically naive by trying to do the same thing and not having anyone that he could bring in?
We certainly never had a real depth of attacking variability. Basically, if our plan A didn't work, we went, oh, screw it, let's go for a 0-0, because we saw that every time we went down a goal, and it's like, well, that's it. They're going to pack it in, and they know how we're going to attack, and that's going to be it. So yeah, maybe something different would be good. I just don't know if it really suits us.
Well, I was kind of disappointed with the upper mids, and not that there wasn't a lot of fluidity amongst them, right? Like you would think if there's 3 guys and each one of them can play all 3 spots, why aren't they like, you know, mixing things up a bit?
And the thing is, it seemed like whenever, especially the wingers, Kakuta and Christian just seemed to want to take the ball to the middle. It didn't seem like Pedro was very much involved when those guys were on the pitch with him. It seemed weird that way. I agree with that.
So in that sense, that's why I think both Gordon and Casey, if they're doing the exact same thing now, it's instead of some 23, 24-year-old guy chasing these balls by himself, you got some 34-year-old guy doing the exact same thing, and I just see him wasted here.
This jumps ahead too, but yeah, are we going to stay this way? Because there has been talk of... I heard the talk go back and forth between, next year we're going to be 4-4-2 with 2 strikers, and I've heard now people tracking back from that.
Robbo was asked that when they had his last day availability with the media, and he pointed out that Dallas and Portland have both been successful with 4-2-3-1. Obviously Portland changed to 4-3-3, and he pointed out other teams that had that success. So he loves 4-2-3-1.
So
but I think he needs to have some kind of
I think
switch available.
I think if you ask him though, no, his preferred would be some form of 4-4-2 if you had the players.
I still like 3-5-2.
Yeah. Just
get rid of Harvey and Beitashour and have your 3 centre backs.
So going on this list, is there anybody else that jumps out at you?
Looking at the goalkeeper, first of all, obviously...
I was going to bring that up because as we know, David Outset's going into his option year last year. Is there a goalkeeper here that maybe, and Paulo's leaving, is there a goalkeeper here to pick up that could maybe sit on the bench for a year and then maybe start next year if David decides not to come back?
It's too much of a crapshoot.
Jonathan Ricketts, Slamo, I mean, you love that guy.
I was thinking like a guy like Zach McMath.
He's good every 5 years. He has a good, so...
I was thinking a guy like Zach McMath, if he's being coached by Marius Rovde for a season, and maybe he can get his confidence back up. I don't know what happened to him in Philadelphia. I don't know what happened to him in Colorado. But clearly a guy like that who at 24 is still young enough to figure things out.
There are a couple of guys in MLS that Marius has told when we were just having a kind of off-mic chat that he feels he can coach and bring on. None of the guys that's on this list, but there's some other guys in MLS that he has got an eye on. Robbo's kind of come out and said that Spencer Ritchie and Marco Carducci are going to battle it out for the number 2 spot. Kind of throw this in the work now. One thing it says, we're sitting down with Robbo tomorrow for a one-on-one, and I'm going to ask Robbo this directly tomorrow. But there's Callum Irving, homegrown product. Cap seemed to have messed up his homegrown rights. Sure? Well, that's what I'm going to clarify straight from the horse's mouth, because the 2 versions of the story, one is that it was the player's choice not to come back and he wanted to go in the draft or move overseas. And the other is he tried to come back, but they did not nail down times for him to come back, and because of that they've lost his rights. We'll get it straight from Robbo's mouth hopefully tomorrow, but I mean, he's surely a guy, he's expected to possibly go top 5 in the draft.
Yeah. He was at WFC2 games in this summer, so we asked him what's going on.
Yeah, I was chatting to him.
And he said, I've asked about training. But I also understand that it's probably a better personal decision if he goes in the draft, because...
well, you're not going to play above Ousted.
No, it's not about playing. It's about compensation, right? Like
He'll get more as a fifth pick than he will as.
They'd probably even sign him Generation Adidas or something like that if you're going
Possibly,
that high.
yeah.
So he'd get all the Adidas money for that.
I think he's a senior, if I'm not mistaken.
You can still get GA.
Yeah, I don't
the
think
idea
that's
is not to go
only
to
if
Europe,
if you're trying to stop him from going to Europe.
Yeah.
But then you have to have some team that really wants him not to go to Europe.
Well,
so,
that was the other thing. This summer he was supposed to go to Norway.
Yeah.
It was all set up. He was all ready to go, and then the school was like, "You can." His school, Kentucky, was like, "You can only do this if you are paying for absolutely. You need to bring back receipts.
Oh, yeah.
for every single.
for
thing."
NCAA
He can't be
Yeah.
compensated for anything.
Yeah, so they couldn't even like put him
Plane
up
tickets or
whatever.
room and board, nothing, not even meals.
So
Over the summer?
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's done.
But by a pro club paying for it,
it's
ruins his eligibility.
He
NCAA
doesn't have any
rules.
eligibility left, though.
No,
He said
To
this.
continue with that NCAA.
this past summer he just
this
played
past
the season.
summer. Okay.
Looking at the defenders just very quickly, the only name that really jumps out on the re-entry list is
Jim
the right
Brodsky.
back. Yeah, I mentioned that there was somebody on that list that could replace Stephen Beitashour. We've had him before. I thought he was actually coming back 2 seasons ago and wrote a big article about it, which I still have saved. I would love Jeb Brofsky to come back. I can't even say his name, but I'd love him to come back.
Peace pandemic.
Yeah.
I liked him too. I always thought it was a huge mistake. No, I don't know if it was a huge mistake. I was very surprised that the Impact drafted him. I thought it was a good thing that they left him unprotected because I didn't think the Impact would be interested in him at all.
Yeah.
And then they took
below
him.
the radar. Right?
Yeah.
I was shocked when he blossomed as well as he did because I did not think he would be an MLS quality right back. And you know, I'd still probably take Beitashour over him, but he's certainly cheaper and you know, great locker room guy. You know,
When you look back on 2011's right back roulette,
yeah, but
it's interesting that
and that was a tough team. I mean,
He was one of the better ones, and he was not used to that position at all.
He's certainly not a bad guy to have on the roster.
No.
Now the thing is, the first round of the entry draft on Friday, the Caps would have to pick a player up on his current salary. If they pick him up in the second round, then they can renegotiate. So just now, Borowski's on 129, which to me is a pretty good hit for a talented right back. He is listed as a midfielder in the salary guide, but it's like we know he can play right back.
we got Chris Schuler on down there. He's old, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Getting
getting
old
up
now.
there.
Schuler
he
is
could be a good like
on-
fourth guy though, third or fourth guy for instead of Ka.
Well, he's on 182,
Oh,
so he's
yeah,
actually
that's a
on
bit-
more than
too
Carr
high.
right now.
Well, how many went in the first round last year? Not many.
Not many.
There was, I
But
think,
Jeb
about
is kind of
7
fits
or
into
8
that
or
in
guy.
the first
yeah.
round.
No, yeah,
I think it's
just
7 or 8, yeah.
today's draft, the waiver draft that nobody goes
Nobody
in.
goes, yeah.
The re-entry draft,
yeah.
that's where you got like a guy like Espindola going
yeah.
or something like that, something like that.
So Brofsky fits into that kind of first round, or first whatever they call it, first round,
Stage
right?
one
First
or-
stage one. There you go.
Chris
Stage
Schuler,
one pick, right?
Chris Schuler is actually only 28, so I don't think that's too old actually.
No. Then there's a midfielder that kind of jumps out to me, and I think as long as we keep his car keys away from him,
oh come on, don't say it, don't say it.
Marco
What?
Papa
Oh come on.
could possibly come. Is it the DUI or the Seattle connection
What
that
is
you
it?
most
I think
object to Zach?
Isn't he high salary though?
He's 75,000.
Oh,
What is it?
Oh, okay.
What is it
There
with
was some
you
shenanigans
and these
obviously
like
there.
these aging Spanish, ex-Seattle creative midfielder types? Because
I like my Latinos,
I would not take Papa.
but he kind of fits into the kind of player that Robo likes, and at 75, it might be worth a punt.
But there's no way he was only on 75. I'm sorry.
I mean, would he get a visa?
That's true.
That's a
That
good
might be an
point.
issue.
Anyway, moving on to happier times. To get some of this done, obviously it's going to cost money. And today, on Wednesday when we're recording this, was the big announcement about Tam. Not Tam McManus, he's not coming back from Scotland. Former East 5 player, played in MLS.
Okay.
MLS announced that 37 million they've found.
What they found?
Don't know how, it's like
They're
players,
losing 100 million a year, but
yeah, losing all that, players trying to get a new contract. It's like guys, we're skinned. And now 37 million. Each team is going to get 800,000 2016-2017 in new TAM money. 125,000 each year to go towards homegrown salaries.
More.
Tam,
That's in addition.
Yeah, it's more. So, I mean, TAM can be used to sign new players or to re-sign current players that earn between about 450,000 and $1 million. So we could buy down Rivero or use TAM on Rivero. We could use TAM maybe on Alaba. If Ousted gets a big pay rise, we can use TAM on Ousted as well. Do you think that's what the Cats should be doing? And by doing that, it would possibly open up 2 new DP spots.
If the DP rule is called the David Beckham rule, the TAM money is the Omar Gonzalez rule, right? So this is obviously they're doing this because LA is needed to keep Gonzalez, and
then they went out and bought Gio, and they went, wait, we can't keep him next year. We spent all of ours, and they go, oh shit, we'll get some more for you.
yeah, exactly.
But you can't use TAM to get everything down, because I tried to buy my wife some jewellery today, and they wouldn't let me use that at all.
But it does, it gives them the opportunity to up Ousted.
They should have called it.
Buy down Laba.
They should have called it
if they want to.
Well, Waston is signed, right?
Yeah, but they can now use it against.
Terms of the deal weren't announced. Maybe they used retention.
No. So one of the things, I don't know where it went.
Is that the Larry Bird rule, or is it a different sport?
I don't know where it went, but I heard for a long time we didn't spend any of our TAM money. We have all of our TAM money, and then recently I heard no, we've spent some TAM money. I don't know where. I don't know on who. But supposedly
it's such a secret. There's no way to track it either.
Yeah.
First of all, quick thing. I think they should have called it Tab, because then they could have got some sponsorship from the drink as well.
Well, there is the airline.
They could have called it. Oh, is there? Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. And then the other thing is I would have rather prefer they just increase the salary cap to say they were talking about $5 million. Or whatever. I don't know what it is this year, 2 point something or whatever.
It's 3 points.
So if they increase it to 4.5, I'd rather do that instead of doing all this TAM stuff.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with that sort of stuff.
Because it's so secretive, the TAM stuff. You don't know what they spent it on, where they spent it. It's somewhat obvious with LA that they spent it where they spent it, but other teams, you have no idea what they have. You don't know if they're using it.
But you can't trade base salary, and you can trade TAM, and they like that because they preach parity and but in the end they still love having their fingers in all the control of all the clubs. So they like that LA and Seattle can go out to Colorado and say, hey, you guys aren't going to use all $1.5 million of your TAM this year. We'll give you an international roster spot and a few bags of balls for 300,000 TAM so that we can go and get some other Mexican player.
And you can't use TAM
Donald Trump
and allocation money on the same player as well. It's way more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as the DP goes and having those big luxury guys, I mean, Zach, you were there when Coda waited. My son waited 2 hours to get Jermaine Defoe's autograph, right? I mean, those players like that's exciting for, maybe not for us old jaded cynics, but like a young kid getting a chance to see kids like that, players like that.
I don't think you want to admit that your son likes Jermaine Defoe.
It's okay. He plays for Sunderland now.
Yeah. Well, he's a Spur. Right?
Well, I will say this, that the goal, as I don't think that the ends justifies the means all the time, especially with the league because they do so many screwed up things. But this is the type of player that we need to start getting in the league. Toronto has been a huge failure year after year because they spend $1 bazillion on the 3 guys they can, but they can't improve the middle of their roster because, first of all, they're clueless, but second of all, they can't spend the money on those everyday guys that you have to bring into the club, and that's what this is going for.
I don't know if that's true because we had this conversation before we went on the air, but if you switched the 3 DPs, I think we're a way better team. So it's not a matter of not having the money to do it. It's just they're not smart.
I realize that, but
team, right?
Instead of being able to go out and say, well, we need a better center back, they can't because they have no more money to go buy a center back because they made dumb moves before. That's on Toronto. But what
we
TAM
have the
does,
same 3 DPs, and we have Waston and Parker.
I know, but what I'm saying is what TAM does is it allows us to say, right now, we have a problem with our second defensive midfielder. For you, our first defensive midfielder in Lava, We have now the ability with TAM to go out and buy, maybe not an all-star, maybe not your Jermaine Defoe, but we can go out and get a really quality guy for $500,000 a year, pay it down with TAM so it's not a designated player contract, and still keep your 3 stars that your kids are coming to get autographs for. But still, the team can be so much better. The league's overall performance can be better because you're filling out the middle of the roster.
Yeah.
And talking of centre backs, if the Caps use Tam on Tim Parker, we can have a Tim Tam slam.
Whoa!
There it is.
And
Were you writing that down as we were talking?
End of podcast. Let's go, boys.
Just stop me.
If you don't know what a Tim Tam Slam is, look at my social media today.
But anyway, that's it for this episode. So just before we go, just let everyone know where they can find you online.
This is Steve Pandher. You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
You can reach me on Twitter at JAY_Duke.
I'm at SSS 3 S's LAMO on Twitter.
And we still have the shout out to the person who actually has Slamo Twitter. Please, if you have it, release it so Slamo can get his actual Twitter.
Yeah, I've got a picture on my phone of a license plate in Michigan with Slamo. I thought that was we were in Michigan, and yeah, so might be him.
Yeah.
You never know.
Zach.
It's at Zachary AM on Twitter, and I'm a part of a movement called Curve Collective.
And I'm Michael McColl. I'm part of a movement called AFTN. You can read all our stuff online at aftn.ca. I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. But that's it for this episode. Thanks, guys, for very heated and passionate input there. So until next time, thanks for listening. Take care, and
On the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.